Hey, welcome back to the Career Marketing Podcast. I have Mike and Grant and Mike from I Love Madison County page.
Yo.
Thank you guys for coming back on. I'm so sorry for that first podcast. If you do not go back and watch it, just watch this one. Uh, this one will be much better, I hope.
Yeah.
But so let's start with what Dreamer Creek Brewery is doing again. Can you explain that over?
Monday night, they're having a history of who owns the land of Appalachia. And I don't know a lot about that, but it is kind of local in a manner. But I know that back in the 1870s, 80s, and 90s, when the coal first started becoming a thing in Appalachia, that a lot of companies would go around to Eastern Kentucky and like, hey, you can live here, you can still do whatever you're doing, just give us the mineral rights to your land, and we'll pay you some money. And a lot of people, free money for nothing? Sure, I'll take it. And then when strip mining became a thing a long time later, that became an issue because then people were like, hold it, this is my land. But in order to get the minerals that they had paid for like a generation or two before, it was cheaper for them to just strip mine and take all that away. And courts sided on the side of the coal companies a lot and allowed them to destroy the land in order to strip mine it. And people lost everything for a couple bucks back in the day with their grandpa.
Picking on the poor people.
Yeah, picking on the poor people. I'm not sure if that's what the lecture is about, but I'm sure he'll hit on that a little bit. I'm also curious about other things like logging companies. I don't necessarily know if they own the land, as much as they have also forestry rights with the
Right.
lands that they can go through and take whatever wood. I'm assuming there's regulations about how big or size, and there ought to be.
Do you know what that is when they're holding
It's
it?
Monday night. I would say 5 to
I'm not
6.
really sure.
I'm not sure. Check the I Love Madison County Facebook page. It's on there.
Absolutely. I actually liked it this time because I was prepared before you guys came on. He
What?
got me last time. He said, "Yeah, if you were following the page, you would know." This time, I do know.
Oh, okay.
I liked it, just so you guys know. But you know what's weird about Kentucky? I don't think the whole environmental activism since we're on it has caught up to Kentucky as much.
No, not so much.
Yeah, not so much. I still see a lot of friends of coal license tags on there all the time. That is a big thing. It's really funny.
It is. I've
Yeah.
heard that there are more friends of coal license plates than there are actual coal miners in the state.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine so. I wouldn't want to be a coal miner.
Yeah.
I'm not really built like that. I'm a merchant. So tell us about your new archaeology.
Yeah.
Job.
I got a job doing paid archaeology. I just got done doing a job out in Pulaski County, Somerset. They're putting some new power lines up out there. I actually have in my undergrad at Eastern Kentucky University. I got my undergrad in anthropology and minor in archaeology. So to get some experience, we did a field school in Danny Boone National Forest. That took about a month long. It was a month long, and we learned how to do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 archaeology. It's basically like phase 1 is like you do shovel test pits to see how many. You do a shovel test pit where you dig so far down, and you put all the soil in a screen, and then you shake it, and then you see if basically if it's positive or negative. And we also learned how to do phase 2, phase 3. It was like on a rock shelter, and it's basically you do like one by one meters, and you go like so far down with the trowel, and we found some stuff like some hearse, and we found some projectile points, stuff like that. So
Say horse.
hearse is like
Yeah, what's horse?
hearse is like a fire campfire.
Oh, fire remains from a long time ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they done like soil samples and stuff like that. But yeah, I went and I graduated in 2018, and then it took me let's say 2.5, 3 years to get a master's in history, and then I just now recently gotten into the field of doing. It's really called cultural resources management. That makes archaeology possible. So under Section 106 of the law, anytime there's like a bridge or some kind of building subdivision by law, they have to federally comply with Section 106, which is that it has to be surveyed by archaeologists.
Just make sure there's no real heritage site down there.
Yeah,
And
because you never
can.
know what you're gonna find.
Yeah. They just recently found those bodies at the power plant, the battery plant they're making for Ford. And like an old cemetery that had been forgotten about over
Yeah,
time.
it's all over the news
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, so you just got to check to make sure what's there and how to deal with it appropriately.
Yeah, I imagine so.
You also did some archaeology down in Georgia, one of those islands. on
yeah,
the coast,
we went
right?
to we went to Sop. Well, I did it to get more experience after I graduated. I went down to Sapelo Island, which is off the coast of Georgia, and you had to take a ferry actually to get there. But most of the island, like 80%, is owned by University of Georgia, and the other half is they call them the Geechees. They're like ex descendants of slaves, and they lived on there, and they have like their own community. Actually,
Have their own language?
No, it's
Okay.
no. But interesting story. When I was down there, like we actually went into the village where they live. I mean, they have like modern electricity and all that stuff. But there was a football player. I can't remember his name, but he's actually from Sapelo Island. Believe it or not, he played in the NFL. I believe he went to the University of Georgia, but he's from
There's a lot of NFL
famous.
players in Georgia. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we stayed. We stayed in cabins there, and what it was a guy. He was doing his PhD dissertation, and he needed help getting data, which we were doing like shovel test pits, and finding things. And we found a lot of cool stuff: pottery, chert, which is like flakes from projectile points, stuff like
I had to
that.
ask him that when I first started talking about chert and archaeology. I was like, what is chert?
I was gonna have to ask that too. I
Yeah.
had no clue what that was.
But for him, it's just,
it's just
chert. Yeah,
yeah,
I got
chert.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
But
is chert, man?
there was a lot of things going on there. It was like I said, it was pretty secluded, and I mean, it was just like if you were to like lose your place or like pass out, you would be like, there would be like bugs all over you. There was wild hogs out there just running wild. It was pretty intense.
On the island?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dang.
Makes sense.
Did you guys hunt them while you were there?
Well, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Did I-
it'd be
did I
cool.
what?
Did you hunt them while you were there?
Oh no, there was like a game warden out there for the Georgia Conservation
Okay.
or like whatever they are, the Park Force, whatever, something with the University of Georgia. But he was the only one that was technically allowed to shoot him.
What a job.
Technically. So if they like run up on you, it's like you either run
to defend
or you take
myself.
that hit.
Yeah,
He's
I had
coming
to.
right for me.
Right, exactly.
I'm just running the other way.
You
To
have
be
to
honest with
leapfrog
you.
that thing,
You
man.
cannot outrun a hog. I'm just letting you. Well, a hog, yeah, but a wild boar.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you keep in mind too. There's
Dude.
like,
You have to wrestle him. I think you could take a hog.
you think so?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. If I can take a deer, you
150
can take a hog.
250, yeah, maybe. But no, it's like it's
Wild
not
boar
like
weigh
a
350 pounds.
it's not like a clear path you'd have to run to. I mean, there's trees everywhere. There's palmetto trees
Sorry, my
down
money's
there.
on the board.
There you go. But yeah, that was to wrap it up. That was a really interesting experience.
So I saw when you posted on Facebook. Is that when you actually started?
Which one?
It was a picture. I think you had a hat on.
Yeah.
That's when you started.
Yeah, I
He
started.
just recently started.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
recently
okay.
started. So that's when we was out in Pulaski County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure if I can discuss what we found, but it was nothing like groundbreaking, or
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like the tomb of like Jesus or anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you'll be looking for pyramids eventually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's got to be one here
Hey,
in
but
the
you never
United
know.
States.
Well, there's mounds. There's mounds. I'm sure there's mounds in Western Kentucky. There's the mound builder civilization that was big before Columbus.
Really, I didn't know about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cahokia, just outside of St. Louis on this side of the Mississippi River, had probably like 25 to 30,000 people living in the city, and they just build these big mounds of earthen mounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
And then,
yeah,
have
we
you seen
live
Serpent Mound in Ohio?
Yeah, that's
Well,
pretty cool. We went
after
to
this, I'm
it.
going to show you pictures of it. We went
Yeah.
there a while ago, but they have a snake.
He's not
going
gonna
to
show you pictures.
I have pictures. There's a
just kidding.
snake effigy mound that's like 3 feet high, that just rolls around the cliffside, and on the winter solstice, the head of the snake faces where the sun sets.
Yeah, those some smart people, man,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Why didn't we hear about that? You only hear about certain amount of
That's in Ohio, though, by the way. So it's
Native
not-
American tribes. We only get, like Cherokee and Apache, but you don't hear anything. Do you know what tribe that was? The name of it? Did you say it?
The snake serpent mound in Ohio.
Yeah.
Not really. They don't really know because it's pre-Columbian make,
Right.
and so who knows
Yeah.
what they're called. Like Cahokia, I told you about, is what we called it. We don't know what the people who lived there then called it because Columbus came and coughed on some people and they all died.
Coughed on some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, it's sad, but that's
Yeah.
how it happened more or less. And their civilization collapsed because death and disease. That happens.
Guns, Germs, and Steel. I read that book, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Jared Diamond.
yeah,
That's a good book.
yeah.
Have you seen it or read it? It's awesome, man. You just have to. I'll send you a link to it. No, I really won't, but
I'll hit you up after this.
Show you the
I'll
picture
hit
of
you
the
up.
Serpent Mound. I have some.
no, it's
Yeah,
really
I'd
good.
love to
it's
see
really
it.
good.
Yeah, just send me, I'm gonna make sure I bother you. Send me that link. I will.
It opened my mind to archaeology, or like, I don't know, not necessarily archaeology, but it's like, basically his main argument was why did when Europe came over to the Americas, why did they have like a heads up or like a level up? Like, Native Americans didn't have like steel or guns, and that was when the Europeans came over, that was allowed them to basically conquer them, or whatnot. But the question was why that happened, and his thesis was they had what's called the Founders Package, like Eurasia, where they had the most domesticated animals.
Domesticatable.
Animals in the world, right there, like cows, horses. What were some other ones?
A lot
Sheep.
of vegetables. Oh.
Well, that too, and they also had basically like I
wheat,
wouldn't necessarily.
barley,
Yeah.
oats, lentils, all sorts of things.
All
like
those
that.
right
They had
there.
an advantage right there in that area.
So that was able to build up. You had, instead of people just hunting and gathering for food all day, you had like a main crop of you could supply people with, and so you didn't have to always look for food. So you can have other people doing other stuff, like being writing down scripts, doing military, basically civilization from the ground up. And his argument was that they had the Founders Package. They had all the right stuff.
They started their civilization
Yeah.
game with already at a certain level because of what happened to be there, the resources that were there.
Right.
That's a good book. It's called Guns, Germs, and Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paradigm.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. Basically, where your energy is shifted allows your civilization to grow. I've never thought of it that way. Yeah, definitely send me that link.
Yeah, because it's like if you can domesticate your cows and horses, you can have them do the bulk of the work in the field. As far as the big stuff where you can have them pull a plow.
Yeah. Native
They're-
Americans didn't have anything bigger than like an alpaca or something.
Yeah, I think they try to domesticate them, but not really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that was about the best, dogs in that. They didn't have anything else domesticatable.
Yeah.
So you're interested in archaeology too, right, Mike?
Interested, yes, but he's a specialist on this.
I'm
I'm
not
not
a
more
specialist.
Okay, well, comparatively.
Professional.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are technically professional, yes.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could call me that.
Do you still weld?
No. I picked that up. God, I've had a lot of careers over my life, a lot of failures.
I wouldn't say
Me
that.
too.
I'd say,
Me too.
Well, you're 21, so
Yeah, but I've done a lot. I'm 23.
23,
All right,
sorry.
I'm old. You see it in my face.
I started welding when I was, I don't know, high school, and then I kind of did it for a while. Then I kind of got back into it, but then I realized I was like really kind of, I was in my 40s, and I was like, man, this is a lot of heavy. There's besides welding, you got to lift a lot of heavy stuff, and like my
Yeah.
back couldn't take it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what we talk about, me and her, whenever we're watching like those medieval shows, And she's like, "Oh, would you be a knight?" I'm like, "I'm a traveling merchant at best. I am not that guy. I am not
No, I
that
think
guy."
you'd be a knight, man.
Yeah. No, I
Or
don't
definitely like
think
a
so.
bodyguard of the king or something. You know.
No, they tend to get beheaded. I do. I do have a new sword, and I got
Oh,
a
really? I love
practice
swords.
sword over here.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's my
awesome.
1860 saber, and
Is
that
that a
over there.
real 1860?
This is just like stainless steel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not meant to fight.
Okay.
But this one over
Not
here,
yet, anyways.
this is my not yet. No, this is my
Don't break into his house, or it might be.
HEMA practice sword right here.
Oh my, that thing is beautiful.
Thank you. Now that's
That's what
just,
she said.
She's never said that to me. But so I wanted to ask you about. I don't know if you guys have any
Towards
opinions.
myself, I'm a medieval.
Really?
I love it. I'm fascinated by that. I'm a
Well-
total nerd. I play Dungeons and Dragons. Huge nerd.
We're
Swords.
planning
I
on
got
playing.
several swords at my house.
Yeah. Do you DM?
Yeah.
Dungeons and Oh man.
Yeah, often. I play mostly online, but there are ways to do it around here. I know that in Berea there's Bad Wolf Gaming that just recently opened. I have yet to check it out, but I'm assuming it sounds wonderful from everything I've seen of it.
They'd be like, "Hey, Mike, let's go do something cool." He's like, "I can't. I'm hosting some Dungeons and Dragons thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? It's
That
like
is
80
something
degrees
cool.
outside."
Man, I played with this guy once, and I'm not getting into that story.
No,
but
no,
never
no, don't
again.
even do that.
You
Never
only
again.
played once.
I played
He
one
played
time
once.
back in 2001,
90s. It was still the 90s.
and I made a character that was like
It was
real.
the 90s, man. It was 97, 98, 99.
We can't say it on here.
Yeah, he did something. I was like, dude. So, what else you want to do?
But I
man?
think yeah,
He was a child at the time.
yeah, I was like 20, 21.
Do you
I
remember
was
what
drunk, I think.
race and? I guess if you're drunk, you don't remember what you played.
Man, human fighter, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I can see that.
First, starting off, here's a human fighter, yada yada, do that, yeah. There's also the Knights Lounge in Berea. I don't know if it's still open or not, but I have went there and I liked it. It was pretty good. However, I was a little old for that group. They were mostly children, like literally high school kids, junior high school kids, and some college kids there. So I didn't go very much because I'm old.
I'm sure they're real glad.
And
to have you.
blind.
Oh, well, yeah, it's just...
And
just,
dumb.
Yeah, those things too.
We're gonna start a campaign here soon in the summer.
Okay.
Just us three. It's my first time playing.
Oh.
Played slews of fantasy games, but never
Okay.
got my hands on Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So you got any advice for me? I was gonna start off as like a mystic, but I'm not going to.
Oh, no, don't. I could go on a rant about that. That's...
He's like, you don't even look smart enough to play mystic.
No,
so
no,
don't-
it's not that. Mystics are horrible. They're just crap. I'm fine. I'm doing it. All right. Mystics are for people who want to play magic using characters, but don't want to have to deal with the problems of using magic. Like, I want to do this, but I don't want the opponent to be able to dispel magic because it's not magic, it's psionics. Or I don't want to deal with that concentration mechanic because it's not magic, it's psionics. It's people, I
That's
can't
exactly what I was
stand
gonna
them.
do.
Yes. They're like, it's not magic though, but I want to do all the things that magic users can do. I just don't want to have to deal with the problems that they have to deal with. Oh, just you munchkins.
So my first class actually was. I only did that to set you off on purpose. But it was gonna be. You ever heard of Artificer?
Yeah.
I was gonna play one of those
Okay.
because she's gonna be a barbarian.
I'm gonna be a bard.
I'm gonna talk her into playing
Do
barbarian.
a barbarian.
You can-
Multi-class. I've done it with a goblin.
You
It's
can
pretty
do
cool.
that? I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Multi-class. Sure.
Okay. So Artificer Mystic.
Barbarian.
Barbarian. I'm telling you.
Scout Charles.
I'm telling you.
Charles is gonna see this. It's like I'm not DMing.
I did one
anymore.
time, and I expertised in athletics and was a wrestler, pro wrestler.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's been your longest conquest? Your longest quest?
Oh, like campaign or something?
Yeah.
Fairly recently, I just finished the 5th edition Tales from the Yawning Portal campaign setting, which is a bunch of one-shots in a row, and that took us 2.5 years maybe to do.
Dang.
Yeah. And after that, we went ahead and played another D&D module, Storm King's Thunder, with the same group. And now we're working halfway through Candlekeep. So we've been playing together as a group online now for like 3.5, 4 years.
Dang. Have you heard about that guy who's been hosting this campaign for
40
40 years?
years.
Yeah, you already,
Yeah,
you already
I
knew.
saw that on my Google News feed, and I
Yeah.
was just like, what? Wow.
Yeah, we just watched that today before you guys came over.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I just got back into it like when 5E came out again after, years of missing it. Back in the day I played, but then, life gets in the way. You don't have time anymore.
Yeah. You allow home brews in your campaigns?
Sometimes, maybe.
Sometimes.
What
Scared
is
to
it?
play with you.
Homebrew is instead of published content, it's you just made it at home. Like, hey, instead of one of these published classes that I'm having, I just decided to make up my own. And depends. Some people come up with some crazy stuff. That's just
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I've heard of there being like whole guidebooks for people's one character. It's about that big. It's
Jeez.
crazy. Yeah. You should get back into it. And, in between of digging up cool stuff, you do some nerd
Oh,
stuff.
he dug us some really cool stuff this last time. I saw some pictures of some of his stuff.
Well,
That
that
was
wasn't
interesting.
That wasn't Doug. That was just laying there. In
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Goat skulls and
Yeah.
what was the other one?
Like bones, antlers, all sorts of
Oh,
stuff.
deer. There was a
Yeah.
deer. We're basically out in the middle of nowhere. So this goat, not goat. Oh my God.
Cow. We found a cow.
Yeah. Sorry, deer. We came across this deer, and it was just laying there, dead. Animals were eating away at it. So
Why are like deer skulls and goat skulls so cool?
The horns and antlers.
Yeah, it's the horns and the
Yeah.
antlers that people they go crazy for it.
But that's why they're cool, because of the horns and antlers.
yeah, I know the witch community is into that stuff, but I couldn't tell you anything about that.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I asked you guys. I was
Yeah,
hoping
Mike
you would
Mike
know.
knows.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
Mike knows.
They're cool. They're also signed. I mean, people have deer heads on their
Yeah.
things, and just in the antlers, they're cool.
Yeah, he told me on the way here, like people actually buy them,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
$50 for a deer skull or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I saw one more expensive than that on
Oh yeah, they
Amazon.
get a lot more expensive. That was just
Yeah. I think there's a moose head that was $5,000. I mean, it was
man.
4,458 if I
yeah.
remember
But
correctly.
it got the huge antlers,
Yeah,
right? You
it
can
was
just mount
giant.
it on your wall.
Yeah, I don't think it could fit in here. It was huge.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson's house at Monticello in Virginia has like a giant elk antlers that are just like, oh my god!
Yeah.
As soon as you come in, they're there. Just the antlers.
Yeah.
And it was meant to show people, like, look at the fauna of North America when you came to visit them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wild and
Yeah.
uninhabited. That's
Yeah, except it kind of was. But
yeah, it kind of was.
Kind of was, but.
It really was.
Moose is only in the Americas, right? You don't find them anywhere else. Like moose, the giant elk, 6'5" elk you see walking in Canada. It's only
I
in
don't
North.
know. Is there
We
someone
saw
that?
one in Arizona. I don't know what it was, but it was taller. than me.
Oh, you talking about when we went to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I think it
was
was. I think that
taller
was
than me
elk.
easily.
I got pictures of it, and they were like really friendly. They let us pet them and everything. I mean, we just came right up to the car. And huge elk.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys pet it?
Yeah, I did.
You're making
yeah.
me nervous.
Yeah, no, they were really friendly. I'm assuming because there was a road right there, and then they were just probably so used to people, just coming and stopping, taking pictures. So I'm assuming they were generally friendly, and people probably.
wasn't a
I'm assuming
bear or
they fed them
anything,
too. They were looking for food, maybe.
Now, I do want to ask you, do you think archaeology, I know it's classified as a science. Do you think it's a science?
Oh yeah, for sure, I do. Just the fact that you can measure things, like actually math, you could bring math into the equation, like if you find like in a certain hole, shovel test pit, you can weigh it and quantify it, it definitely isn't by that standard,
Is carbon dating part of archaeology? Like, is that an
it's
archaeologist does
yeah,
that?
but it's like a special thing that you have to go to school for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I do want to
Lab
ask
thing,
you.
But they use it all the time.
I do want to ask you, like, it's highly debated. I don't know if you guys are interested in Egyptian history or anything, but the
Little bit.
Sphinx
Yeah.
is dated to be, I think, 86,000 years older than what we actually have
Really?
it dated. Yeah, you don't think so?
I don't
No,
think so.
I've looked into it a little bit, and all the people who are talking about the weathering aspects of the outside wall, there are other ways that could have
Well,
happened that seem more
So the
likely.
theory, the mainstream theory is the rise of industrial agriculture. You know, is at least what 10,000 years old, and to build that, you have to have people and you have to have a lot of food. So at once, you know, so you're the wheat fields, you're making cereal grain, stuff like that. And they didn't. Did you say 86,000 years ago?
Oh, I said that wrong. Like it was
8,600
8 to 6. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
in
don't
that
buy it.
case,
You don't think so?
I think
No.
I think so.
Eh.
Sorry, I thought you said 86.
I did. I
Oh, it
meant
definitely
8 to
was
6.
86,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
No, you're
6
good.
to 8.
But I think it's possible because it makes
Possible,
sense.
yeah, not likely though.
I think it makes sense because if you had kind of like an industrial size, not by today's standards, obviously we have modern machinery, but if you have like somewhat of an industrial agricultural scale, I think it's possible. Maybe.
I'm just not buying the weather patterns. I'm just not buying that because the Sphinx wasn't something that they built, so to speak. It was something that they took away from. Like that rock was always there, and they just took the rock away from it, and then
No, now we're talking about two different things. though.
okay. Yeah, I don't think the Sphinx is that old. I think it's roughly 2,600 BC is when they made it.
Do you think it could have been renovated? Because there's
It's
evidence
definitely
that
been
it's been renovated afterwards.
Yeah.
So you think they could have renovated before? And we got some weird carbon dating. I wouldn't say accident, but results from it.
You talking about like people messing with it?
I know that there was certain king. It's because Egypt's been taken over millions of times,
Yeah.
and sometimes the king over it will renovate the Sphinx to make it look better.
Yeah.
'Cause it's super old. So do you think through some renovations that we probably don't know about, maybe it could be older, or sometimes it's not, or we think it might be older because of the renovations.
I mean, yeah, I think that could definitely be possible because, I mean, the technology is always progressing and, you know, figuring out how old stuff is, you know. So I think that could be a factor. And like sometimes when like different kings would take over, they would intentionally like try to mess with it, you know. Be like, hey, your civilization is not as cool as ours, and we're gonna mess with your Sphinx or whatever, you know, and
Yeah.
to prove that you're not that advanced or whatever, you know.
That's one of the saddest things, is that it's so much of our history, and I don't mean just the Library of Alexandria. So much has been lost because kings would conquer places and decided to burn it all down.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's happened a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, it even happened in the 20th century. I mean, look at the Nazis, you know.
Oh yeah.
They
that's right.
destroyed just all kinds of art.
Book burnings was a big fan of theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It still happens today, you know. I mean, like like the war with Russia and Ukraine. They're destroying potentially a lot of Ukrainian heritage, you know. Which my great grandmother, she was actually from the Ukraine. So
Yeah.
You know what's funny that she told me about? I mean, I guess it's not funny, but Ukraine came before Russia, or
Yeah.
it was a state before Russia.
Yeah.
And one of their main things is like, oh, there it goes.
sorry.
That's okay.
It's always me the first.
It's a little thick.
Oh, okay. I see how they're attached then.
So you want to turn it the other way? You want it to be facing this way? Not the other way. So you want this to be attached to the table.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Is it going down?
Yeah, hold on.
You may need to have it go down for
You want to help him adjust that?
You just want me to hold
'Cause I
it
can't
then?
see it.
I got it.
He's got it.
smart.
I'm an archaeologist.
I will handle this. It's only a highly trained archaeologist. can. I'll throw in the dirt and dig it up 100 years later.
Hey, you might have some jobs, man. Highly trained. You got to say highly trained.
Highly trained.
Yeah, you have to say it. Wish we had one of those technical screens where it's like, we'll be back in 20 seconds.
Technical difficulties.
It's funny because I don't edit any of that, so people watch this part and just laugh.
The struggles are there.
Life, it happens.
we struggle too.
You might just need
It's taking-
Dude, I just say we hold it.
Please go over there and press it. You're my technical
There was
guy.
like another layer on top of this, so I put it on the slope part.
Go on over there, help. You're supposed to be the technical person.
We gotta do this part out.
Absolutely not. Come on, Eric, come on. Podcast must go.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
That's only a highly trained.
A highly trained podcast editor.
There you go. Well, is there a camera where I'm supposed to be looking at?
You don't have to.
Okay. So there is. Okay.
Is that
Yeah.
what you're trying to tell me a little
Yes.
bit ago? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what that was too. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, so there's
Maybe
a
I should.
camera, lights, and
Action.
So we have a camera that's in there. We have a camera that's set up over there. No, we only have this. We only have this webcam. No.
It's like, welcome to Candid Camera. There's a camera there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got punked.
Now we have a job for you, Mike. Only a job for only you. Only you can do. Did you get it?
You really broke
Yes.
it, didn't you?
I won't touch it, I promise.
Well, we're ordering new ones anyway because sometimes these get stripped
Yeah.
for being used. You can adjust this. But yeah, dang, what was I was talking about?
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Oh, yeah. I was saying that one of Russia's claims is that Ukraine was part of them first, so they're just taking it back, which is obviously inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's it's a weird reason to go to war anyway. I mean, no reason should be to go to war unless it's defense.
I agree
but
with you there.
that's one of the most weird I've heard.
Yeah, it's weird because like people like we all think we're like so the human race is like so beyond that, but we're still fighting over land. Sad to
Yeah.
say, you know, it's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, you know, that actually led me to one of the things that I found interesting because the guys I work with really hate the fact that I believe in evolution. So we talk about it all the time, but it's really funny. But I showed them there was this evidence of apes that are fighting, that having literal wars over resources right now.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
Is it in Africa?
Yeah, it is. And I told them, I was like, the way we evolved is the same way they're doing now. They're starting to walk and create tools. And one of the things is like, well, if we evolve for apes, why are there still apes? So this is what I'm talking about. Was I showed them that whole video, and it's funny.
Dogs came from wolves, but they're still wolves.
Right.
Well, they just went one way, we went another. It happens.
Yeah. It
And
happens.
it's not necessarily that we came from them as much as we both came from another. At one point in time, there was one species, and it branched off into there
Yeah.
and there and there.
Yeah.
I think we're even closer to freaking chimpanzees than we are gorillas or such.
Are the people that your coworkers are they like creation? Is that what they believe? Like as far as
I would assume
Jesus
so.
and God.
No, that's the funny thing. One of them believes we come from aliens.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
What is it?
Yeah,
That's Scientology.
he watches.
Scientology.
His name is Turbo. He watches all of them, so this is for him. But he believes we come from aliens, and
much more plausible than sure.
I told him it could be plausible.
Yeah, you don't want to tell anybody they're wrong because we can believe whatever we want to believe.
Alright.
You know what I mean? That's what makes America America.
But
And I
you're
love
an
discussing it.
archaeologist.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you know about different species of humans remains, right? So we got the Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and what's the one before that? I forgot.
I'd
There's
like to stop you right there. My dad is 0.3% Neanderthal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
He
it's
had
on
a
the
DNA
DNA.
test.
Yeah.
He has Neanderthal in him, which means that his great 100 greats grandfather found a Neanderthal, had sex with Neanderthal,
Yeah. That's
and still to this day, those Neanderthal genes
it's pretty
are
weird
in his
though.
system. I don't know if I am. I haven't been DNA tested. It's possible I have some Neanderthal in me, I suppose. So, wow.
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest things to think about because Neanderthals aren't exactly attractive by depictions. But hey, if they're there,
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, Neanderthals, a lot of people have this preconceived notion that they were stupid or they were
Not
like
necessarily.
these big brutes, but I mean, they had a pretty big culture. I mean, they found cultural remains, like projectile points, and they had fires, and they could make stone tools, and they hunted.
They had fire?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they had fire.
Okay.
It's also a theory that their brains were bigger.
yeah,
Could have been. I don't
actually,
necessarily think that they were that far off from us. Obviously.
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the bigger the brain, the smarter the person. It's the way that the neurons connect to the brain as far as intelligence goes. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have this huge brain, but you could be
Not wired as well. The
Yeah.
neural pathways.
yeah. It's the wiring that's what counts.
I heard a theory that they were. There was a theory because everyone always wonders what happened to Neanderthals. One of my theories is they don't live
Nothing.
that long.
They're
It's
still
40
around.
years. You know,
Yeah.
40 years isn't a long time, especially in a harsh environment. But this theory was that they were bred out by Homo sapiens,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that might be more plausible.
I think it's
There's
a
still
number.
DNA, them around now,
I
man.
think there's a
Right.
bunch of different
About them. They're
factors.
here.
I think not. There's not one single thing. You know, I think it's a bunch of things that led to their extinction, like maybe like food shortages, breeding out,
Disease. Possibility
disease.
too.
Yeah, and
That's strategy.
Homo sapiens were more effective hunters, and we were able to supposedly communicate better, as far as like like playing chess, like
Language.
language. If we group together,
You
and
touched it.
I didn't touch it.
Okay.
If we group together and say, hey, we're gonna. That's cool. Anyways, yeah, we had Homo sapiens have had better. Supposedly, the theory is the communication wise. So, but there's a lot of every year we're finding out like more and more stuff about how like more intelligent they are, stuff like that.
Do you guys know any information? Because my knowledge is limited, but do you guys know any more information about the species that came before the Neanderthals? So I know we found many, head fragments about.
Yeah, supposedly the Lucy.
Yeah,
Lucy was a Australopithecus afarensis, I believe, and she was the one. She's one of the first ones they found that was walking bipedally. Now, don't quote me on this. I'm not exactly sure because it's been a while since I've looked at the literature and took classes, about it. Because I did learn all this stuff. It's just like you learn so much. But anyways, the reason why they named it Lucy is because when they were doing the dig, the "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" song by the Beatles was really popular, so they just named the female. They named her Lucy, but she was like, I think they're saying that she was halfway between chimpanzee and halfway between us because she walked bipedally. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't know about that. Do you want to just take that off and
Yeah.
hold it like because it's
I should have just did what you were doing.
it's not cooperating at all with this. But yeah, I thought there was a one that started with a D. It's like diagnosis or something.
Denisovans.
Denisovans.
They're more like Central Asian to East Asian. And
Yeah, supposedly they found them in a cave.
Yeah.
And they had to have.
around Siberia, I think.
Yeah, they were really hard to get to because over the years, the caves they like collapse and the earth moves, and they had to they hired like really small women, archaeological women, that are small that can fit through that. It was really really cool. Hopefully that inspired a lot more women to pick up that field.
There's a movie you might be interested in on Netflix if you still have it. I know people had jumped shipped on Netflix.
Yeah. a lot of people have.
I still have it. I get it free. So.
Yeah, my grandparents pay for mine, so I'll keep
Okay,
it.
I pay for mine. And
Like-
my daughters and some other people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a movie about archaeology called I think Dig or The Dig.
Over in England, where they found the ship,
I think so.
yeah.
the Viking
Yeah.
ship. I started it, but I haven't finished it. Is it good?
I haven't watched it, but I have it on my list. And I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you guys would be interested in that.
Yeah, yeah. The beginning of it, I mean, it's pretty cool. I know the beginning of it, like World War II was going on, I believe, so they had to like postpone it, and that wasn't like precedent right now.
Yeah,
You know, they were trying to
more
save the
pressing
country.
things.
Yeah, but then like I think I fell asleep, and not that it was boring. It's just one of those things, you know.
Yeah, it's just time to go sleep. Yeah. But I want to ask you something, because it's something that is annoying to me. That it seems like it's an easy fix
Okay.
for medieval period movies. Why can they not get the armor correct?
Because it doesn't look cool.
Yeah, but it does. It looks so cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, actual medieval armor does look cool. I went up to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and they have a whole medieval section where they had suits of armor and swords and pole arms and such. And yes, it was quite excellent. But like one of my favorite movies is A Knight's Tale, starring Heath Ledger.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
And
Me
the
too.
armor that he's wearing just looks totally cool, even though it wasn't exactly what they wore back then. And I
Yeah.
think that is pretty much the reason why people are going for the look and the style of the suit of armor in modern movies. That's why it never quite works out well.
Yeah.
And although the armor did look great.
Yeah, I mean they do look cool, but then it's like if you have any type of knowledge about it, you're like, well, this is just, now your focus is, oh, well, this just isn't right. And one of the weird things I found, have you ever looked at, not really read because it's a different language, but have you ever looked at the medieval manuscripts?
I've seen pictures of some of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Aren't they the weirdest things on the planet?
Because the script is, even when they're writing in English, it's not the script that we're used to. Is much more, it was an art form, almost calligraphy in a manner.
Yeah.
And they would decorate the sides of them and paint all sorts. It was more painting than writing
Right.
with the quills that they had. And they put so much work into just making it look nice and elegant. That was more important to them than the actual writing that they were doing. I believe.
Wasn't it true that most of the writing was done by the clergy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
monks, clergy. Yeah, most people back then were illiterate, and so
Oh, yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Unless
So
you
they
were a
only
king and you
writing
had a
for
personal
themselves. They
biographer.
weren't
Yeah.
writing for mass consumption of the public, and so they could afford to have it much more stylized because their audience was the few people who could actually read.
I think literacy, it was basically saved in Europe by the clergy. You know,
Oh,
they hold on to the records and kept the writing alive.
No,
You
yeah,
know, through the
monks,
medieval
monasteries,
time.
churches,
Yeah,
all that crap, or else it would have been gone.
yeah.
Charlemagne could speak like 12 languages, and by the end of his death, he could almost write his name in one of them. Yeah, he could not read or write, but he could speak multiple languages.
Yeah.
So
It just wasn't necessary.
it's a weird time back then.
Yeah.
Do you know why in some of the Hema manuscripts you can find where they're showing knights fighting slugs, giant slugs? Do you
Yeah.
know why that is?
I have
It
no
doesn't make any
idea why
sense.
that they do that, but I've seen many demonic slugs in these
Yeah.
things that they, and I don't know. I mean, maybe there was a species of slugs that have died out because the knights killed them all. I doubt it, but I don't know. I'm assuming it's more just them fighting against disease, death, decay, because slugs would be associated with that sort of
Like a
thing.
metaphor, kind of.
Yeah, like them fighting for order over chaos, because slugs would represent chaos and destruction and entropy. That's just my guess on it, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird that they don't leave any type of explanation anywhere, even outside
All
of a
sorts just
manuscript.
weird things. Like I saw a baby riding a giant flying slug on
Yeah.
a rainbow. It was like, okay. It's just, they made a picture of this back in the medieval times.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd you see it on like History Channel?
No,
YouTube?
classic art meme.
Oh yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you take classic art and then you make a meme out of it. I have 100 of them that I've made myself, and somebody had like, hey, look at this picture.
That's
and-
cool. I know YouTube's got a lot of cool documentaries, free
Yeah.
ones.
They do. They
yeah.
do. One of the things that, because medieval stuff, something about that period where they decided that they weren't going to name anything, because if you look back at like the historical names that they had for like swords, it's just sword. Bastard sword, long sword, all of it's sword to them, but we
Yeah.
put names on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why didn't they just name it? Because like, you go to the store for your knights, how do you know which one to buy? You just buy a sword and that's it.
I suppose they just picked it up, swung it around a little bit, and
Yeah.
like, but I don't even think that they bought them. I think it was made for them because
Yeah, because I mean,
blacksmithing and such like that was, especially to make a sword, is a little
for
different
the
than making
state,
horseshoes.
for the country,
Yeah,
you know,
so you would go
knights.
to your local lord, and he'd be like, "All right, make this man a sword,"
Yeah,
because iron was expensive, and it's not like they really had money. One of the people that's described to me, one of my professors back in the day, people think that in the medieval period there was most everybody was really poor, and there were just a few really rich people. No. Everybody was poor. Nobody owned technically anything.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Manor didn't technically own anything. He just ruled over that because the king said.
It was
the
a
king
king.
didn't own anything. The king just ruled over it because the Pope said. And the Pope was ejected. Yeah, there was nobody had any money. Nobody had a deed or anything. It was just worked out that way.
One of the things I would like to see more though in medieval depictions is color, because they love color. The same thing.
Yeah, they colored everything.
Yeah, same thing with the Greeks. Like the statues are actually colored back then. They're weathered now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they love color too. Like I think a lot of these depictions of past societies is like bland. Everything was bland, and all of a sudden we discovered color recently. It's very weird. I like to see like a knight fight with all his heraldry on.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Okay.
yeah, I think so too.
We have horses that's really big in Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
And we even have the castle up in Versailles.
Versailles.
It's Versailles in France.
I'm
Here's
kidding.
Versailles.
I'm kidding.
So I don't understand why we don't bring jousting back, because with
Oh
our
yeah.
the armor that we can make for like football pads and such like that out of plastics and such, we can make lightweight, really good stuff that'll keep the people alive, and they can just knock each other off of horses.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why we don't do that here. If we could bring it back, it'd be a sport. I would love to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd be one of those dudes.
yeah. Yeah, just
No,
sitting there like,
no.
no. Come on, man.
Me and Corey could do it.
I was actually
How much do you weigh?
315 pounds.
Okay, never mind.
Well, I
Well,
was.
I mean, when you consider the weight of the horse, that 315 over your 250.
Yeah.
I mean, the size of the arms is a factor, but the weight isn't the thing.
I was actually thinking about taking now I'm going to do HEMA, archery, and horse riding. But I wanted to take horse riding so I could do jousting. But I don't think there's a jousting place like you just talked about in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Or anywhere close to here, which kind of sucks.
There's a Renaissance fair in
It's Ohio, isn't it?
Eminence, Kentucky, just
Oh,
outside of
okay.
Frankfort.
Yeah, there is.
I'm not sure what they do there. I've never been, but you could contact them, see what they do. I did attend the Renaissance Fair in Maryland, outside of D.C., and they didn't actually joust, but they had lances, and they would stick a ring. Like they'd have a ring hanging from a pole, and so they'd run through and they'd stick the ring, because I suppose hitting each other going full speed on horses with a lance probably would violate their safety protocols.
Who
Their
cares, man?
insurance rates would probably
Who
skyrocket.
cares?
I'm just assuming.
They just want to have fun, man. Leave them
Yeah.
alone. Drink some beers.
Mead.
Mead, drink some mead. Yeah.
You ever tried meat?
Yeah,
made mead.
yeah. Well, I've had some Mike stuff. It's okay. It's an acquired taste.
Have you made ale?
I've made beer.
Didn't you make like wench ale? Is that what you called it or something?
I made Night Hag Ale. That was
Okay.
amber.
Night hag?
Night Hag Ale is what I called it. It's a D&D monster.
Oh, okay.
It was a red, kind of like Amber Bock. It was a red ale.
Tell them about the beer that you named after me.
I made a beer. I called it Wolf's Lager. It was
Yeah. It fits though, right? Because
I'm not saying
it was
that.
an American pale. It was an American pale ale. So I suppose technically I have made ale. Yes. I've made lots of different types of beers in my time. I've made beer. I've made mead. I've made wine. I have yet to distill anything. Although I have an apple tree in my yard, and as soon as it starts producing lots of apples, I will get one of those homemade distiller kits and make apple brandy. Although I've also been told that it's not legal to make distilled liquors without taxing or something. So I'll have to look into that. I know that you can make beer and wine legally in the state,
Yeah.
as long as it's only like 200 gallons a
Up
year
to so
or
many
something.
gallons, yeah.
Yeah, which is a lot more than I've ever made. I have not made anywhere near that amount.
So I mean, you just go ahead and make it. We'll edit this part out so no one knows.
Okay. Yeah, but I do want to get into
Mike lives
next
at yada yada
and
yada.
stuff like that.
At Mike Brandy at Google.
Rec Law Brewery.
Yeah,
I've
he
already
made the
named
name
it. I got
for
a
it.
name for it. I just haven't done anything with it.
Rec Law.
That sounds
Law.
cool.
Walker backwards. Don't just break the law. Wreck it. Rec Law Brewery.
We've actually planned this out. Well, he
Yeah,
more
that's
than
my
anything.
home brewery that I don't sell or anything. I just
He was trying to calculate like
illegal.
how many gallons we would have to sell in order for us to still pay our bills and
how much it costs per gallon, how much we could sell for. Yeah.
it's more like a joke, but you know.
It might not be, man. Everyone jokes until it becomes Amazon.
until it becomes real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know what your point of history is that you like the most. It seems medieval time. Would I be wrong?
Yeah, I do like that. I can't really tell you what my favorite part is. I've become fascinated recently with ancient history, Sumerians, Hittites, all that sort of stuff. I've become very fascinated with that. For a while there, I got a kick on the Bacon's Rebellion in Virginia. I just read several articles on that too. My interests pivot from time to time.
I have something embarrassing to say.
2
years ago, I learned that Samaria even existed on
Oh, wow.
YouTube. Had no clue. I knew who Gilgamesh was.
All right,
Yeah.
Didn't
there
know
you go.
where he was.
That was actually one of the book, the Gilgamesh, is one of the first historical records of beer, of the mention of beer.
It's
which
our
is
first
cool.
hero's tale, isn't it?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Gilgamesh?
Yeah.
The Epic of Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh, yeah, it's the first one. They have other writings earlier than that, but most of that other stuff is just like tax records. You
It's
know?
always taxes, man.
Yeah, it's always taxes. Every civilization, taxes. That's the first thing they start writing about.
Yeah. I hate taxes, man.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this, but I've been looking at some way to avoid taxes through my company, but it's not working out. Not legally.
You can always file bankruptcy.
I'm thinking about it.
Taxes?
You could file bankruptcy like.
Yeah, that'll get the creditors off. I don't know if it'll get the government off.
Well, that's true. That is true. Never mind.
Well, we plan on moving to New Zealand, so it's not going to be my government anyway.
No, really.
Yeah.
To where?
New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Just have you always wanted to live there? Or?
It's been a thing for, I'd say, 4 years now. I'm like, for some reason, New Zealand is calling me. And that's where I'm going to go.
Okay.
Where are you originally from? We had this discussion before,
Out
but I
west,
forgot.
Like around Paducah, right?
Yeah, Fulton, Kentucky.
Okay. You
Town
went to
of,
high
like,
school
2,000
there?
people. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. It's one of those places where, the school mascot is a bulldog. You know,
Yeah.
very generic. Thousands of school, millions of school. The
Yeah.
Well,
bulldog.
like, one of my friends, he teaches up at a high school in Kentucky, and he posted on Facebook their tractor day. They had a tractor day at their high school where people brought their tractors to high school. I was like,
Like recently?
yes.
The banana festival that we have back home.
Oh yeah, the
You have a
banana
banana?
festival.
You're from there as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She's my high school sweetheart.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, lucky her.
that's sweet.
But
You have a banana festival.
but the banana festival is just like, it used to be something real, but now it's just like a little strip where people set up their shops and barbecue and what's the thing Coach Flip does?
He does seafood boil.
The seafood boil.
Oh.
There's a giant seafood boil that my old coach does.
Nice.
That's really about it. Like there's no bananas.
No, listen.
Are your folks still there?
I got it.
All right, come on in.
You know what? I'm coming on screen because you tell it wrong. I tell this. This is my favorite story about back home. Okay, so the Banana Festival is like a week-long thing, right?
Oh,
And it starts off, there's just little events, like little competitions here and there that people can do. And then at the end, on the last day, the day before, you have Fulton's Got Talent, where locals will like perform.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the winner, yeah.
Fulton got talent.
Fulton's Got Talent. And
Yeah.
then the winner
You two
will
are from
open for the main performer. We had, the Kentucky Headhunters one year.
Uh-huh.
Was Corey ever the strong man? Like the typical beard.
Yeah.
That put me on the football. We got her once.
once. And then we have the Grand Parade, which is just exactly what it sounds like. And at the end of the Grand Parade, there's a 1-ton container of banana pudding. And you just go get you a scoop.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds really good.
Banana, you come from there, you ain't had any banana pudding from the banana
I
festival?
don't like pudding, so. Plus, my family always
That's awesome.
left before there was a lot of traffic. They're one of those
okay.
families, so I didn't.
Is your folks still there?
Now you
Yeah,
know.
they're stuck. They're stuck there.
They're stuck there.
Yeah, they're stuck. I've been trying to get them to fly out to New Zealand with me, but they won't. They won't budge.
How often did you travel? Like, did you ever go to like Paducah's right on the border, right?
It's very close. Yeah.
Did you ever go to just like have her like one day you was bored and just happened to like hey, let's go to Missouri or whatever?
Well, every day we're bored, but we only go we only go to like the town over and get Taco Bell and go back home.
Oh,
That's
okay.
about it. I traveled a lot for sports, but before that, me and my mom traveled a lot. So we left Fulton for a long while and came back when I was 12. So we were gone for, I'd say, 10 years before we came back. We just traveled all over the place
Yeah.
with her boyfriends. So, and then we came back, and I moved in with my grandparents, and
Yeah.
I finally got out of there. It's awful. Banana Festival every year. The guys, they didn't take a break. So we couldn't skip a year of Banana Festival. She loves it. I do not. I like the funnel cake.
It's something. I mean, just think about how much less there would be to do without even the banana festival. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, when that's what you got, that's what you got. And so, hey, banana festival party time.
Man,
We
that
have
sounds
the-
terrible. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It was
well,
okay.
we have the Spoon Bread Festival in Berea, and it's actually quite nice. And
I like it. I liked it because
I
of
like
the.
spoon bread.
I like it because of the eating contest.
Yeah. They have a spoon bread eating contest, and believe it or not, this guy did not.
Some dude beat me, but he's been doing it for. Okay, I've
Been
done it.
training.
This dude was training, man. He was like, all right. I asked him like, how did you eat it that fast at the end? And he told me the trick. You got to eat the crust. It was like a big old thing of cornbread, and you got to eat the crust first because that's the hardest part.
Planned on that stuff.
You know what I mean?
Broke it
But-
down how to eat the spoon bread
Yeah.
fast.
If you eat the mushy stuff on the top first, that's the easy part. The hard part is at the end with the crust.
dry, yeah.
The crust. Man, I was like, wow, I wasn't even like a halfway done, and I was like looking up. I was like, what? Okay. I didn't even come in like fourth or fifth. I suck.
Ah, yeah, apparently.
Was that last year?
No, that was before
2018?
COVID. Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, because I went last year, and it was still reeling off COVID, so they didn't even
Yeah,
have spoon
last year
bread
was like
there.
half full.
Yeah, it was.
Both vendors and people. It was not. COVID.
Yeah, you can basically see it from your house.
Yeah, I live right down the road from there.
He lives at. Just kidding. I'm not gonna tell him. Where he lives.
Here's my home address. Please come and kill me if you find anything offensive that I say.
There's something interesting that I don't know if it's just something I'm making up in my head, but COVID happened and we had quite a few businesses closed.
Yeah.
But do you guys see it seems like a small resurgence of businesses opening here in Madison County?
Yeah. There's one called Junk Drawer, and they do like they have like Amazon pallets, and they sell stuff from there. And there was a couple older ones that are opening up just like that.
Nightjar and Berea just recently.
Nightjar
opened,
and Berea,
around in
yeah.
the wintertime. And then I told you Bad Wolf Gaming also started in the
Right.
winter. And so, yeah, with everyone that goes down, somebody else will take up that opportunity and run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nightjar's gotten real popular.
What is it?
Nightjar's gotten super
Oh, yeah.
popular.
Yeah. Yeah, they serve alcohol, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
That's one of their things is their signature cocktails they make out of bourbon, I think, is their primary thing, but I'm not sure. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
it looks great.
Yeah, everything seems to be. I mean,
They're also opening
'Cause-
a brewery in Berea eventually.
don't ever interrupt me.
Oh, I will if I feel like it.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
But the same people, they own they do Native Baitable, which is their breakfast, and Nightjar's their evening. It's the same
Yeah,
place.
it's good stuff.
But they bought a warehouse on Broadway, and they're opening a brewery sometime in Berea.
Have you guys noticed? Have you guys been anywhere lately, like out to eat or some places?
We just went today to because Bucky's happened.
Yeah.
We saw on Madison County Foodies, someone was like, it's not really that good. It's not as good as Straight from Texas. We went there today.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah,
until
I've been
that.
there a couple times. It's great. Great.
It is.
Yeah,
It's great.
pulled pork. It's good, man. It's really good.
Oh, you haven't
They have
been?
pulled pork. That's not a Texas thing, though. It's a Carolina thing.
Or some kind of barbecue. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was good.
Yeah, brisket. They had the brisket.
Okay.
Now that's Texas barbecue.
It's delicious, man.
Yeah.
We're from closer to the south, so we moved up here, and there was like Sonny's barbecue.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we kind of just missed home.
Yeah.
that nice
Man,
Southern
you're making me
barbecue.
hungry, man.
I gotta do that soon. I gotta do that. I prefer Carolina style barbecue. I need to make that. I was talking the other
Yeah.
day about that.
Well, you know where to find me.
All right. I do a pretty decent barbecue. I'd take one of those Boston pork butts, and I'll stick it in the oven for like 6 hours at like 300 degrees, and I'll rub it down with onion and garlic and a little salt and pepper, and just let it sit. And then take it out of there. I stick it in the refrigerator for maybe an hour or so, just simply so it's handable. You know, cool it down, and it just falls off the bone. It just shreds.
Yeah, you've been a
Like most
professional
movies.
cook for what, 20 years?
Yeah.
25?
Oh yeah, it just shreds right off, and then I make my own barbecue sauce out of ketchup and vinegar and a little cayenne pepper and all sorts of other things. But it's more vinegary than it is sweet, so I don't put as much brown sugar in it as say those Texas people would.
Those Texas people.
Man, Carolina barbecue all the way over Texas barbecue. I'm just saying.
Hey, the guy Turbo, he's from South Carolina. He says the same thing.
Yeah,
He's
there you go.
big into barbecue
Oh yeah.
and killing snakes. He hates them. Yeah, I told him we were thinking about moving to before we moved to New Zealand, we're going to move to a bigger city to help the business make more money.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about moving to Charlotte, to Maryland, and what was the other one? Maryland, Charlotte. She doesn't remember. But we're
Whereabouts
going
in Maryland? Like we're talking more D.C. or more.
big city. As
Okay.
big as
Yeah,
I can get.
Baltimore.
Oh,
Baltimore.
and
That's where I was trying to-
Seattle. That's the other one. Thinking about because Seattle's super expensive. So that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it is.
But he was like, yeah, you
Do
know,
wanna
it's a lot of
visit
snakes.
Seattle, though.
Do what?
Seattle's like on my bucket list of cities to visit.
Yeah, me too.
The Space
Same.
Needle, and also, just to give my age, a lot of Nirvana stuff like Kurt Cobain's childhood home. I want to see that.
Yeah, me too. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And it rains a lot, so I'm into the rain. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Man, it's okay. I
Think
could
about
give
going to Britain for that.
to where, Britain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it
It's
rains there all
always
the time.
overcast and
Yeah.
foggy and everything.
Yeah, I like that. It helps me sleep.
Okay.
Food's terrible.
The English.
The food is terrible. I just found out recently that an English breakfast is they put toast and then they cover it with baked beans.
Nah.
Way!
That's
That is
weird.
an English breakfast. They put toast and they put baked beans over it and maybe some side of tomatoes or something.
No
with it.
seasoning on the
That's
beans.
crazy,
Yeah,
man.
just beans on toast.
Just
like,
beans
are you
on toast.
joking?
It's
All right, man, whatever.
we joke about that constantly. The beans on toast. That's the only thing keeping me from moving there is
Yeah,
the
it's
food.
weird.
I'm scared.
I suppose if you're in Europe, like, you know, the food just goes down hardcore. Like, you think about France, it's starvation food. Like, let's try these snails. Yum, yum. You
Yeah,
know?
that's the only thing they eat, right? It's very small
starvation.
portions.
When you get hungry enough, you'll start to eat anything. French onion soup. Well, let's just make some soup out of some onions.
My mom, she was a flight attendant for Delta. She retired, so she would fly in and out of Europe all the time. But she would notice a huge difference between what the English eat and the French eat. Like the English, they'll eat, well, as far as portion wise. There's, I mean, when you're in England, they'll just eat pretty much like the United States, right?
Okay, so
Like as far as
big
portion,
patties too. Okay.
yeah, portion wise. But the French, they have like these little, dishes and
Starvation
a la
food is
carte,
what French
yeah.
cuisine is.
yeah.
I mean,
You
they do
starve
have the
us,
smallest
that's true.
portions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go crazy over there, man. I'd have to eat all the time.
You spend $200. They come out with like this size on the plate.
Have you been?
No, but I've ate at French places.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you're like, oh, you're there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been everywhere. I've been to Japan, to
Nice.
Russia. No, I'm joking. no, I've been to the Antarctica, and no food there.
No food there.
Man, there's lots of penguins.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
fat in penguins, so it's good fat.
If I could catch one, those things are they're kind of mean. The wild
All right.
penguins are. Yeah.
Birds are dicks.
Yeah, they are. I've had a
Well, you
personal
know.
battle for years.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes my trip.
Oh, did you just get shorter?
Put on more weight during this
He's big,
podcast.
man. Look at him. He's just so massive.
A swan will straight up attack you.
Oh,
They
yeah.
look pretty and everything, but they will run up on you.
Yeah, they do. I've had a personal battle with them since I was 6.
Birds or swans?
Birds,
Okay.
all of them, every single one. This is so weird that I'm down here, but it started whenever I was 6, and we went to a park in Virginia Beach. Well, I guess it's not in Virginia Beach, but we were in Virginia.
Okay.
And
You used to live there.
yeah, I used to live in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
But there was a park, and I had bread in my hands, and it wasn't for feeding them; it was for me to eat. And they
Thought
wanted it.
differently.
Yeah, they thought differently. So I just took off running while there was a flock of them chasing me, and my mom
Oh,
and
man,
her
that sucks.
boyfriend just like drop the bread, but they started laughing after a while. And they didn't help me. No one helped me. So eventually, I ended up dropping on accident, and that was
And that
it.
develops your phobia of birds.
And that's when it started. They just started attacking me on sight. It's like a generational thing. They pass it on. It's like, you see this guy, you peck him.
Yeah.
That's what it's been like. They poop on me too, man. It sucks.
I only had that happened to me one time. I was just like, I was a kid and I felt something. I was like, oh man. Just one. That's it.
As far as I'm aware, I've never been. I'm thinking about trying to befriend the crows in the neighborhood. I'm growing corn, and so I'm going to start feeding the crows corn. I hear that if you...
What a dork.
I've,
Sorry.
I've heard
Who in their right mind would go?
that if you start giving them stuff, they'll start bringing you things.
Oh yeah, like what?
Like
Money?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yes, crows will steal money from people and bring it to those who feed them. Yeah, they like shiny things. They'll pick up.
Oh, okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and if you start giving them stuff, they'll start giving you offerings too.
Those are the
So
one birds.
That would be
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Gotcha.
And if you give them an extra piece of corn or two, if they put a dollar bill on there, then they don't know $1, $5, or 20.
Are you
100,
sure?
They don't know the difference. They'll just start bringing you what they find.
Those are the one birds you can't do it with, for sure. Crows are pretty smart.
Yeah.
I think
Crows recognize faces. They'll
Yeah.
recognize you. They can tell me and you apart.
there's something I was telling you
Really?
about.
Yeah, I
me and
know,
you.
I know.
Me and
Imagine
you.
that,
What
yeah.
bird?
A crow.
What bird was it that it was the crow and some other bird? Some scientists found out that they ponder their own mind. Birds do. Well, crows do.
They do what?
They ponder their own mind. They think. They
Oh.
About what they're thinking about.
yeah. They think
they're-
about their death and all that type
Huh.
of stuff. I don't know how they measured this, but it's a whole study about
I
it.
wonder
Those
if they're
are
like
super
sitting up there
fascinating.
like in the trees, like, man, I'm gonna crap on that dude's head.
Yes, they do plan that, and they do it intentionally.
Yeah, I
And they
think
know
so.
who you are. They're like, I see you. I know you. You
Yeah.
threw something at me the other day. I'm going to shit on you from the eternity now.
Oh, it's pigeons.
And then they'll
Makes
tell their
sense.
other
Pigeons.
crow friends. They'll get their murder together and be like, yo, that guy, he threw something at me. And they'll all be like, all right. And they'll start to poop on you.
One's
in your
got a
car.
cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah.
I had one poof on me. I was walking to visit her from the store, and right before I got into the
What'd you do to the
restaurant,
birds that get them to hate you to begin with?
that bread, man, it was the
Ah.
bread thing. I think it was. It sucks.
I don't know if the
Dinosaurs.
seagulls hang out with the crows, though. Maybe.
Maybe. I think they pass secrets. Oh, you know, fungi talk to each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Is they have a network, like whenever the storms are coming, they'll send signals to other fungi to tell.
Oh,
them
fungi. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's the accent.
Yeah, you're good. I didn't hear you at first, and then yeah. There was actually like a Joe Rogan podcast about that. Is that where you learned that?
Oh, he
The mushroom.
The mushroom guy with the hat, the mushroom hat. Yeah. Me,
Everybody's seen the mushroom guy.
me and Mike were like, we were on a road trip. We're like, man, let's just start listening to podcasts. It took forever.
listened to 100
We
Joe
listened to the
Rogan.
entire. It was like a 3-hour podcast with the mushroom guy.
Guy talking
It was
about
great.
shrooms the whole time. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
that was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's the first time I found out like the bees were in trouble was that guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
colony collapse thing. He can solve a lot of it. I've been looking to getting a beekeeping too. I'm thinking about starting into that.
Didn't the government confiscate some of his stuff
Yeah.
because some of it was like he could use as biological weapons, his
He was working
mushrooms?
on an anthrax, like a cure or something for anthrax, and so that got him on some government watch lists. Even though he was working with the government, they don't always communicate with each other.
Yeah, and like his speech impediment, he took a bunch of shrooms, and like he went up in a tree,
Yeah,
and there was
that
like
was
a
a great
storm,
story.
and like he came back down, and like he never stuttered again after the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's I think he's been on
course, if he
twice.
took,
He's
like-
great.
Took like 20 times the amount of shrooms you're supposed to take. So was
Yeah.
there really a storm? I don't know. I mean, he thought there was, but take 20 grams of shrooms and you think a lot of things.
Paul Stamets, check him out.
Oh, is that the guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He gave away, I think, 80,000 free hats out of mushrooms or something they were working on. It was super cool. So hat he always wears.
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
awesome.
one. I didn't get it though, unfortunately. I think I
wouldn't
was
mind
too
having
late.
one of those hats. It was made of a shroom that doesn't burn but smolders like continually. He said that material of the hat was the people used it to keep fire from place to place because it would still burn and it would ignite, but you could put it in your pocket
Oh yeah.
and take it somewhere else and then start a fire over again.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know how Joe Rogan does it, but he gets these people you never heard of. Now, recently, the podcast hasn't been what it used to be. Have you listened to him recently?
Little bits here and there.
I have not.
Man,
Since
COVID.
our last major road trip.
Is it
of
since-
listening to stuff.
Is it since like he moved to Texas and they're like underground? I think that's what it is. Like,
Yeah, he has this new studio. At first, it was like red, but now they've changed to something else. Red
Yeah.
was really ugly.
yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
I haven't. Not really. I'll get like on YouTube. I'll have like, you know how they do like the 5-minute clips of like highlighted stuff of the podcast, but that's really about it.
Yeah, he moved to Spotify permanently. They gave him $100 million for 10 years.
Oh man,
Spotify
Yeah.
permanently for that.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think?
I think that's a small amount to draw. No, I'll just play. That's probably
I
large
don't know.
amount.
How much
That's
money
probably
you
a
got.
large.
I mean, to me, that would be whatever you want, boss. I'm there. 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
To Elon Musk, that's small potatoes, but
No, not even to him. $100 million is a lot of freaking money, even to him.
well, yeah. But if you got like,
Yeah.
what was it,
I have no
$45
idea.
billion?
Oh, I just heard that the buying Twitter's on hold at the moment.
Oh, really?
Again?
Yeah.
They say why? I thought he
I
had like
did not
official
check.
law.
I think it's just a ploy.
Saw
He's
the
just trying to
headline
mess with
saying
them.
That it is on hold again. So.
I think he's just trying to mess with Twitter and mess with everybody's emotions. Not mine. I could care less. But
Probably. Yeah, me too.
you know what I'm saying? Like stir up
probably has an
controversy.
angle,
Be like,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
see what happens when you just pay attention to all this stuff and nobody. I mean, everybody's emotions are involved. It's like, get on with your life.
Okay.
Why should it matter who's buying Twitter?
I don't even have Twitter.
I don't either.
I don't even have one. I don't think I've ever had a Twitter. I didn't have an Instagram until I started the company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think I have a Twitter account, but I don't ever get on it.
Hey, I opened one a while ago just because I kept hearing on the news about all the Donald Trump tweets. I was
Yeah.
like, well, what's he tweeting out that they're not reporting? And so
Yeah.
I got one for that. And,
You haven't been
about
on
it.
it since.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the most entertaining time of all of U.S. history was Donald Trump's 4 years.
Yeah.
The craziest thing. I mean, I feel like I wasn't ever bored in my life, even while living in Fulton. Never bored. It's always something he did. It was great. So what's going on in Madison County that we don't know about?
Well,
You guys know everything, I'm sure.
yeah, I haven't. Since I got this new job, I've been kind of concentrated on that. But,
Free fishing days coming up in June 4th, 5th, somewhere around there. You
I
can
saw
fish for
that.
free,
yeah,
and that's interesting.
I went to a place. I think it's called Revive, the Shake Place in Big Hill. I went there and got to meet the owner. She's only 18 years old. Like she's,
my.
yeah, she's awesome, man. Like she's got her stuff together, like her, and she's got like one or two other employees. But I was like, man, she has like a really motivated entrepreneurial spirit, and I thought that was awesome. I was like, hey, can I get a picture with you? I explained to them that I run I Love Madison County Facebook group and, free promotion, could try to get your name out there. You can post whatever you want about your business, if you got special promotions or stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
Dang, 18.
Yeah, she's 18.
Yeah, where did she get the?
I
capital?
didn't get that personal,
Okay.
but
Yeah, it does make you wonder though.
I mean, if you have the credit, you could get capital. You get investments.
Yeah,
to,
where does an 18-year-old get credit to get?
I know
It's just
growing
like-
up, there were some responsible parents that helped, kids
Yeah.
build their
Yeah.
credit. My
There are
parents were
some,
not like that.
I've heard tale of these as
Yeah,
well.
me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a fairy tale, but hey, it happens.
yeah, it
It's
does.
great.
Yeah. And as long as she, good opportunity
Yeah.
for her. See how she does.
Yeah.
And if anybody is still watching this podcast, you can, if you own a business, you can post your anything you want to as far as your business. If you got an event coming up, stuff like that, it's all free.
Yeah, by all means, promote yourself.
Yeah.
Go for it. That's what the thing is there. Let people know what's going on in the county, what you especially have to offer, and we'll situate it. Let
I was
people
just
know.
joking about anybody still watching this
Oh, 'cause
podcast.
nobody is.
No, I'm just kidding. It's pretty interesting what we're
Oh,
doing.
you're doing good. Yeah, I'm not. No.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And make sure you share the page. Okay. It's cool to post, but also share.
Yeah, sure. We're
Yeah,
trying to
for
get.
sure.
We got 4,300 members right now.
The
And
better
our,
he does, the better we do, the better you'll do for our
Yeah.
users.
Yeah.
And our goal is right now is to try to get to 5,000. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about it, it's mostly local people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mostly. I'm not saying it's all, but it's mostly local, so that's a good thing.
I miss a lot. It's a percentage. It's a more than a 0.1 percentage. And that's always a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the more people share, I mean, you're going to share on the page, but the more you share, then more people are going to see your stuff in return. So
Yeah.
make sure you share the Madison County page.
I have once seen from a mutual friend of mine. He shared something from the page. It was like, this guy shared from our group. I was like, oh, cool. You know, it just showed up on my feed that he had shared something from our group. It's just him. I was like, oh, okay, I've seen it. That was one of my goals.
Yeah.
As it happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of stuff we haven't already mentioned because our first one we did kind of go into great detail about it. Is there anything you'd like to learn?
I like to learn.
I'd like to learn like I'm just such a genius.
There's quite a bit. I don't know how much time you guys have. But, I mean, I'm extremely interested in, I don't want to pat myself on the back or nothing like that, but I like history.
Yeah.
Very interested, and I wasn't like that in school because history was so
Boring.
It was taught by the basketball coach.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Okay.
But soon as I left, it's like, oh man, I'm actually more interested than I thought I was.
Yeah. See, the thing is, like in high school, you kind of like I think it's like an age thing too, where it's like, man, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But when you
Y'all had bad history teachers. I had the best high school history teacher in the world.
Did you?
Yes.
But once you get on your own and you're going to college and there's some things that you want to take you're more interested in. I don't know if it's because of the curriculum where they have to teach like the states a specific set of history, and it can get kind of redundant, like the founding fathers. I mean, yeah, that stuff's important, don't get me wrong, but they don't really, it's kind of like a general overglance of history. It's not like nuanced history where you're reading about like very specific things. I think that's where a lot of like something that would pique your interest, like there's somebody doing analysis, historical analysis about runaway slaves. That stuff's important. And having like primary sources of them talking about how life was in slavery and how bad it was and stuff like that. So that would really pique people's interest. Like if I could give some advice, like if you're kind of burnt out on high school history, just wait till you get to if you decide to go to college, it gets a lot more interesting. Yeah.
They don't give the narrow just American.
They do, but it's more detailed, and you have to. It's not like multiple choice. It's kind of like you have to. It's not like when and why, where it happened. It's about the why, the underlying factors, that happened for the events that take place in history.
Yeah, I remember like we had to remember only dates. When stuff happened, not why it happened.
Yeah.
That sucked because I have a bad memory. And I think the only thing I remember was some American history, Columbus, and Egypt. That was it.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
Was that like a world history class, the Egypt one?
I think so, yeah. Because we had to take American history and world history. And I think that was it.
Yeah.
And they were both the same. I
One of the
learned
weirdest
the same
things
thing.
that they run through people's heads in elementary school is the name of the ships of Columbus, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Everybody remembers that, and I don't understand why that was so important to teach elementary school kids.
Yeah, I guess it was just something at the time.
You knew. Everybody watching here knows the name of his 3 ships. Why?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that they just cram through into your heads.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing. There's a resurgence of hate for Christopher Columbus, and
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it wasn't like that when I was growing
Yeah,
up.
it wasn't like that.
And it's like that's why, because he was like the savior, this apostle
Yeah, yeah.
for the Native American tribes, and we taught they taught it like that.
Colonialism, yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird. But now it's like we hate this guy.
Yeah, well, that's more like that's. I mean, how can I say this? The mainstream, like actual, like the culture, there is a pushback against that. But when you're doing a lot of scholarly work, and as far as history stuff, there is some pushback. I mean, Christopher Columbus was a very flawed individual. I mean, he was human,
Yeah.
and if you break it down to
Not
like
a
get,
particularly good human either.
yeah.
Right.
But
I mean, most people are, and
yeah.
and he didn't think when he was doing it that he was gonna bring over a whole wave of colonizers that, that enslaved and killed people. I don't think that was the idea. The original idea was for him to find spices and salts to a faster way to get to India. So, but there is a lot of pushback against him now.
Yeah, one of my teachers, I remember vividly. She said it was in middle school. She said, "Yeah, they're having me teach you about Columbus, but actually, Leif Erikson was the first one to find."
Right.
Well, and I never even knew, but that's what she said.
She's not wrong, but at the same time, I, what came of the Vikings coming here?
Nothing.
Exactly. So Christopher Columbus coming here is a pivotal moment in history. Granted, yes, the Vikings were here first. Not to mention the fact that Native Americans were here like well before the Vikings.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's possible Chinese people getting here.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
tell me the Polynesians didn't make it. Also, they hit every other land in the Pacific but missed the continent.
Yeah.
They probably did. But
There was a
what-
lot of cases that probably weren't documented.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But you got to admit that Columbus coming here was a turning point in history.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the Vikings did it first. What came of it? Nothing. Columbus came here. What came of that? Well, a lot.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's why, like, Leif Erikson was here first. Yes.
Yeah.
But what did that mean?
And the Vikings barely even wrote it down. If they did, I think we got a source from somewhere else that said they visited. It wasn't even that they wrote it
Well, they
down.
have an archaeological site in Canada of Lochs Os Mains, I think is what they call it, where they lived there for like 10
You
years.
talking about like Newfoundland kind of area?
Yeah, around Newfoundland. Yeah, for like 10 years they had a settlement there, at least 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they made it here. They stayed for a while, but still nothing came of it as opposed to Columbus,
Yeah.
which a lot came of that.
Mm.
Do you know what happened to the settlement? I think they said something about, or I learned about it being not as hospitable, but they lived in Greenland, right?
Yeah,
Greenland
which is
isn't
even
too far
less
off than
hospitable.
Canada, right?
Yeah.
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 That seems to be something about North America was really hard for people to settle.
The northern part, yeah, because you can't really grow crops.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it's not like
It's difficult.
it's not like Virginia, where you can raise tobacco and all that stuff.
Maybe there's just nothing to raid. I mean, in Greenland, you have stuff to raid. You can bring
Yeah.
food back. But here, back then, there's probably not much you could raid
Yeah.
that you didn't have to hunt. So maybe they're just like, forget this and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
maybe.
much what happened in North America. That and they were constantly under attack by natives,
Yeah.
and so.
And
they
scurvy
just,
was a big thing too, wasn't it?
probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't
It's
eating a
a-
lot
it's
of
lack-
oranges up there.
It's lack of vitamin C, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people underestimate how powerful the Native American tribes were at actually fighting. And there's a lot of documentaries in the 1800s where they're fighting off guns with bow and arrows. I
Sure.
think there's a tribe in the dang, what were they called? Anyway,
Talking about in Florida?
no, they're in the middle, the Plains Indians, the Plains Native Americans, and they were shooting off horseback and they were shooting under the horse. There's a
They lean under the horse and shoot.
yeah, they were lean on the horse and shoot like that. So it's really hard for people to travel
skill.
to Texas
Yeah.
because they were getting
Comanches.
killed.
I've heard many types of people discuss about who were the better horse warriors, the Mongols or the Comanches. Like apparently the Comanches were up there with like Genghis Khan level
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
badassery.
Yeah. If it wasn't for armor, I'd say probably the Native Americans, but armor is a big thing. So I had to go with the Mongols. Plus, probably a whole lot more Mongols.
Yeah, Mongols
Well,
also
that-
had
yeah, that-
crossbows,
yeah.
crossbows too, which made a
had
big
crossbows?
difference.
They even had.
I believe they
gunpowder.
did.
Okay.
Dude, they had. I know in Japan they've had crossbows for thousands. I don't want to say thousands, but like
Long time.
a long time, yeah.
Uh,
Because that made a big difference. You don't need strength. You can just take a crossbow
yeah.
and just pull it back with something. And then
Yeah, I
just
know the
behind.
Chinese used it for a long time. But
Yeah.
the whole thing with the Mongols was their bone recurve bow because they were differently shaped, and so they were smaller. And
Maybe they
still
didn't have
back and forth.
crossbows. Maybe I'm thinking of something
Yeah,
else.
I think it's the recurve bow is what they did,
Okay.
which made it a lot more potent and smaller for horse riding, as opposed to like the longbow of English longbow fame was like this tall.
Mm.
Like,
I've seen somewhere the longbows, English longbows, are as tall as the person.
yeah.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
back then they were 5'6", but 5'6" longbows is still pretty large.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
big
that
bow.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's difficult to use on horseback.
Oh yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you could use it on
Yeah,
horseback.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so that's why the smaller recurve bows and made out of bone that the Mongols used were really good for that.
Yeah, I also had they also had really good communication systems too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, excellent communication.
That's what made them be able to conquer a lot of land.
And control and administrate that land.
Yeah, they use a certain one of the same tactics that I learned recently that the Ottomans would use was just intimidation tactics, which is a very, very powerful thing that they would use. Pull up the whole Mongol horde to a city and say, just lay down your arms, and most cities would. So they just conquer it without
And
blood.
if you didn't, well, we mauled everybody there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't take too many times for them to just put a city to the ground before the next one's like, okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it doesn't take much to intimidate me. I mean, a whole Mongol horde is enough.
Yeah,
More
that'll do
than
it.
enough. I probably won't even walk out the castle. I mean, to be honest. But yeah, it's a lot of the one thing that was weird to me when I started getting to history about 3 years. I'm way behind y'all, but 3 years ago, learning about the Ottomans in 1928, the Ottoman Empire. It's so weird because they're so old. You don't think about them being anywhere close to modern day history, but they collapsed in 1928. It's very weird.
Oh yeah,
Are you familiar with the Ottoman Empire?
yeah, more or less.
Okay.
It didn't work out well with World War One.
The
That was pretty much
Duke
the
of
death.
Ferdinand, right?
Yeah, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He was
Okay.
assassinated at the
Yeah.
beginning of World War One,
Yeah. Okay.
but not by the Ottomans. It was
By an anarchist guy.
a Serbian.
Hmm.
Yeah. Member of the. I want to say. God, what was that guy's name? I should remember his name. Who did it?
Saran. I'm just kidding.
No, he shot Kennedy. The Robert Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
That's where you're getting that name from. I want to say Gavrilo Princip, but that's probably wrong because that sounds Italian. But he was a Serbian guy, and he shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand because it was Serbian independence. He wanted free Serbia. The terrorist group he belonged to is called the Black Hand. But the Ottoman Empire didn't work out well for them. World War One,
Yeah.
especially didn't work out well for the Armenians. Poor guys.
Yeah.
Um,
But they were dying for a while, the Ottomans.
Oh,
they were
yeah,
just
yeah.
slowly dying off.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
One of the things I was watching a documentary about this. It's really interesting about the Ottomans. Is they would raid for like especially Russia and that area for slaves, and that's where their harem for the Turk, the Sultan. Because instead of having the political strife of would he marry this family or that family or that family, it was his harem that they would use to determine who would be the next person from. And so he was constantly raiding that, and then they'd have a whole bunch of kids, and then when the Sultan died, all his kids he'd have from his harem would then have like a free-for-all to find out who would become the next Sultan.
Yeah.
And so it was like some sort of battle royale every few years when the Sultan died over who would replace him for the next Sultanate. So they were constantly in civil war over this. It was totally weird. They wouldn't have official marriages because they were worried about the political intrigue of who would be the next family in control. So the person had to always be from one of their...
That happens a lot in history.
Yeah.
Oh always found it interesting that these monarchy systems never really figured out that part. Is like one of the kings and queens will die, so you probably should have maybe a system without a lot of bloodshed and killing off whole families for someone to come in,
Yeah.
and maybe make it to where another faction doesn't rebel as often as they do. But then
Yeah.
they never figured that out.
There's always jealousy. Somebody always wants to be the king. Not me, man. I just lay
We
back and
figured it out fairly decently. You know,
it's good to be the king.
the whole peaceful transition of power in America things, worked out well for us most of the time.
Yeah, until
Yeah,
till
sorta.
2016.
Yeah, it worked out well, and then all of a sudden, it still worked. It was just a hiccup.
Yeah, a big old hiccup.
Big old
Got
hiccup,
stuck.
but it happened. Peaceful transition of power. Sort of peaceful, I suppose. I don't know.
I blame it on Rome.
Rome,
Yeah, with all the
it's all Julius's fault.
it is. It's at that point it was cool. Everyone was cool. Republic of Rome and all that. Julius becomes a consort permanently, and then after that, it's like, well, we'll march on Rome and take Rome. Every other general.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
what happened
crazy.
every after that. Yeah.
It's contradictory. Right. I blame Cleopatra too. Egypt.
Okay.
It's always Egypt, man. I'm surprised they're still named Egypt. As many times they've been conquered.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy. And I always asked. I asked her. She didn't know, but how like Egypt would get conquered, but they would never march any farther into Africa to get anything else. And I know Africa is huge. There's a lot of resources
Huge.
that they just left.
Desert, Sahara.
Yeah,
Marching through that thing, not so easy.
true.
I don't know. Maybe there wasn't really well mapped, so they wouldn't take a chance. They just kept going either
What's beyond
east
the
or
desert, I don't know.
yeah, either
I ain't
east
gonna
or
find
west.
out.
But I mean, they also did have ships too, so I mean, they could go down the coast
People
and figure that
did.
out.
People did. There's lots of trade that happened along the east coast of
Yeah.
Africa with the whole Indian Ocean factor. There's a lot of.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one thing I want to ask you guys about. Do you guys know anything about Poland? That's one of the things I'm starting to get interested in with Zhao the Third. I've heard about he was a king of Poland for a while and did all this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Really?
About.
I know the only
This guy's
thing.
Eastern European though, Ukrainian, Polak, same thing.
No, I know for my great grandfather on his birth certificate, it said his parents were from, both of them were from Poland. So my parents are doing the whole genealogy thing, and they pull up like birth certificates and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cool. So I think I'm like fourth generation Polish.
You ever think about going back to the motherland? Because for us, we got to go back to the motherland for us, which is Britain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Ireland for her.
Or Irish.
nice. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. To just take a big world tour over in Europe and see different things for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're an archaeologist. You have an excuse now.
Yeah,
You can go wherever you want to.
Yeah, I don't know how that works as far as being, if I can only do it in the United States, or or if it matters. I don't know. It's a good question.
I know. Do you find American history as interesting as other places? Because we haven't been a while that long. We haven't been here that long.
Yeah, you can only go so far back. I mean, and then you get to this is very controversial too, but prehistory.
Yeah, it
Is-
wasn't exactly a lot written down. Although they have quite a bit in like Mayan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wrote
Yeah.
a lot of stuff down.
I don't know. Like, my favorite history is stuff to do with like the Catholic Church and how they interacted with different states, or countries from its inception. And I was born and raised Catholic. I took in my master's classes, I took two Catholicism classes. It was basically before Columbus and after the New World, whatever, and how the Pope and different the institutions they interacted with, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been collecting a whole bunch of Catholic art recently. This
Have
is
you?
one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
very nice.
I wasn't born Catholic. I actually was told to never go near them because my
Yeah.
family was
Okay.
raised New
Baptist.
Pentecostal.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, my grandma,
yeah.
she's like any other one. She's like, don't go. But knowing me, I had the spirit if I wanted to learn about a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
I went to Catholic church, a Baptist church, and I just wanted to listen. But the Catholic art, for some reason, is just incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, they have a lot of cool iconography, stuff like that.
Oh, we went down to St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, that was
that was
awesome.
beautiful.
That was awesome, man. They had a lot of relics there.
Oh, yeah.
Like had gold swords, like on the glass ceiling, like huge stuff, man. I was like, there's a lot of history in that cathedral there. Yeah.
You ever think about going to the Vatican? We're gonna check it. out.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
You're not gonna go? I'm going to the Vatican.
Okay.
I
You can
had
hang
to,
out in the rest of Rome.
yeah, pretty much. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to learn Latin before I go, so I can.
Oh, that'd be
sneak in
cool.
To the parts we're not allowed to, and start reading as long as I can.
Well, good
Yeah.
luck with that.
You took
I'm
Latin,
assuming
didn't
the
you?
security at the Vatican's pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably real tight. It's a lot of
You know
knights
some Latin,
walking
don't
around.
you?
E pluribus unum. That's about it. Maybe a few other phrases.
Hmm. But-
Caveat emptor.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff.
I think that would be a very cool trip
Yeah.
to go to the Vatican and stuff. There's a lot of history there.
Something else is going on in Madison County. I'm assuming, I don't really know, I haven't heard yet, but so far on the Wednesday around the 4th of July, the Madison Gardens has done an American history trivia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we went to that before, didn't we?
Yeah, we went to that before. I went last year too with some other people.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't make it, but hey, you're invited as well if you want to attend.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fail though. I don't know anything.
Man, last year we were horrible. I couldn't believe the questions they were asking. Like, when did the Model T Ford first release?
I was close. It was like 1923, wasn't it, or something like that?
1908.
Oh, never mind. I was way off.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. We just like picked the year, roughly around. We knew roughly when it was, but we couldn't tell you exactly the year the Model T was first released. So we did horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's man, history's a weird thing.
The year me and you went, we were second, almost.
Hmm.
So close.
The more I learn about, especially what interests me the most as medieval periods, how it's sectioned off and how to learn about it in general. So, like American history, I feel like would probably be a little easier to learn. But there's stuff like that I'd never know. I'd never know. I don't even like Mustangs.
Like what?
I don't like Mustangs. So,
The horse?
Huh?
The horse?
Both horse and the car.
Oh, well, thanks, man.
I saw you pull up a
He
Mustang.
has a Mustang.
I love Mustangs.
No, that was a beautiful all-white Mustang.
Yeah,
Jealous.
thanks, man. Convertible. That's my baby.
Are you familiar with cars in general?
A little bit.
We went shopping to get her a car at Dan Cummins, and then I was walking. I just saw a car casually sitting there. It was a 1993 Toyota Supra
Oh, yeah.
with
Those
22,000
Toyota-
miles on it.
22,000?
Yeah.
You sure it's not 220,000?
No.
Because let me tell you, even that'll still run.
Yeah, I mean it would.
Still-
but
Man,
But
I
that
bet you
is-
they wanted a lot for it.
$100,000.
Oh, man.
But
Yeah.
the guy,
That's a little bit too much, but
he bought the car and had kids shortly afterwards. So he just was like, and left it there.
man. What year did you say it was?
1993.
So he basically bought it, left it, parked it in the garage or something, and it's
Yeah.
still like mint condition?
Yep.
Oh, man.
It's barely driven.
I'd love to get one of those.
Yeah. I was gonna talk him into let me because I got good credit. To
Yeah.
finance it. But
Have you seen the new Supras?
yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
I love
they're
them.
Cool. They're cool. They have a nice design.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of like Ford Mustangs, American cars, stuff like that. I mean, not that I can work on them or anything, but I can appreciate them, you know.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm an American. You're not. You like those Japanese cars? No, I like some American cars. Like a Chevelle SS,
Yeah.
1972. It's
Oh.
my favorite car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You like the GTOs? That's technically the first like muscle car, I believe.
The Chevelle?
The GTO. Mike
I'd
knows.
have to
knows.
think
Not
about
a
it.
car, man.
I'm pretty sure it is, and then the second muscle car I think was the Mustang, because the I can't remember the engineer. wasn't Eli Coco, but they didn't think. Anyways, the people who engineered it didn't think it was going to sell well, and it outnumbered like all their sales of that year of any car of that line, and they've made Mustangs ever since. So.
Yeah. Mustang's been super popular. I mean, there was a period where it was just the person died that started Mustang, I think it was, and after that, the engineers didn't do a great job.
Yeah, like the Mustang 2s. A lot of people like to knock on them.
Mustangs in the 80s were like an economy car.
Actually, my favorite Mustang's an '88
Oh, really?
Fox body. Yeah,
Oh,
I love that. I don't know why, but yeah.
But dang, what was I gonna say? Something about American cars. Shoot, I can't think about it.
Corvette's an American car. Made in
Dude, the new Corvettes
Corvettes.
look amazing. Like they almost look like Lamborghinis.
Aren't they making an electric Corvette soon too?
Sure, why
yeah,
not?
why not, right?
I seen a Corvette. I was looking at it. I was like, man, dude, that looks just like a Ferrari or
Yeah.
something crazy, like not a typical Corvette design. And I said Corvette. I'm like, get out of here. That's crazy. You know.
Can I be the only hater here? I don't like the new Corvettes.
Oh yeah, you don't like them?
Because what you said, I was like, this doesn't look like a Corvette.
Yeah, yeah, I respect that. Yeah, for sure. It's not like your traditional Corvette look, you know.
It it took on more edges and more of a Lamborghini type of
Right, yeah.
look. And I was like, it's not really my thing. I kind of want to look like midlife crisis type of thing.
Yeah.
That's the Corvette I like.
Lamborghini's not midlife crisis as well.
Yeah.
Or is it just a little-
It's weird. I've been seeing a lot of those cars in Richmond. Like, I don't know if it's just like new people moving in or.
They've popped up.
Yeah.
We've seen like 5 Corvettes in a couple of days.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I've
just the
seen
new
them.
ones too.
Wow.
Yeah, brand new ones.
Yeah. Oh, that was the story I was going to tell you guys. Do you guys know what the Daytona is? 1960s NASCAR.
Yeah, a little bit.
The
Yeah.
race?
Yeah, but it has it's a car called the Daytona.
Oh, the Daytona. Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
the big wing on it.
The big wing. Yeah,
So-
the Joe Dirt car. Yeah.
pretty much. So do you know they had to be sold? NASCAR had a rule back then that they had to be sold at like car dealerships before they race on the track. So you can't just make them for NASCAR.
Right.
So they didn't sell well at all. They were like $3,000 back then.
Yeah.
Or $2,000.
Which was a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think it equates to like 20,000, but it was enough
Yeah.
to break the bank for some people. But my grandfather at the time, had a chance to get one, and got a Monte Carlo instead. And it was like, yeah, the car is just ugly. He said, and a lot of people said it was ugly.
It is an acquired taste. I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
I like it. It's one of my favorites. But he got the Monte Carlo. I asked him about it recently. He's like, if I had to go back in time, he said, Bubba, I'd still get the Monte Carlo because that car's
Yeah.
ugly. But I love that car so much.
Yeah, yeah. Good story. Good story.
Hey, he hurts me like that. Both my grandparents have done stuff like that.
Yeah.
They just skip out on like mid-condition cars because they don't want them.
Yeah, yeah. They need something more economically.
Not
sound.
even that, just because.
Oh, just because, yeah.
And now we're poor because of that. But guess we'll wrap this up, man.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to use the restroom.
You don't buy those big drinks. You just run.
But thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
very much, man. I appreciate it.
It's
good talking to you.
Where else do you guys have the I Love Madison County page? Is just Facebook, or you
Yeah,
have
just
Instagram?
Facebook.
Well, we have a YouTube, but we haven't done anything.
Yeah, we
yet,
haven't done
so-
anything. If you got some ideas, just let us know.
Oh man, don't tell me that because I got plenty. But if you want to upload this to your YouTube, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It'd be pretty cool.
Cool.
But, it won't be your first video, will it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a video on it.
We don't have a video.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll make it the second video. But thank you guys. Make sure you follow I Love Madison County page. Share the damn page, okay?
Yeah.
Share it, please.
That's right.
Share his podcast.
Oh,
That's the
share
one you
my
want to share along with his podcast.
Also, my podcast. Please. All right. Thank you guys. See you next time.
All right. Thanks,
thank
Corey.
you.